Hey, what's up? I'm seanu Uyehara, an area manager with Geneva Financial. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the #1 reason why homeowners will never sell their home. But before we hop into the video, for all my loyal subscribers, I appreciate your patience because I know it's been a while since I've dropped a video on the channel. I was dealing with a death in the family, specifically my dad. So I've been at home with my mom and I've just taken some time off with shooting, but we're back. We're going to be building out a cool studio to be able to bring you guys more content to help you understand the real estate and mortgage world. So I appreciate your patience and I appreciate all your support over the last few weeks and months that we've been kind of on the sidelines. So like I said, today's video, I want to talk about the #1 reason why homeowners will not sell their homes and how this is going to impact you if you're thinking about maybe selling, or maybe if you're even thinking about buying a house with the way interest rates are these days. They keep going up and up and up. And for us, it's just literally like getting hit in the stomach every single day when you see the market get worse and worse and worse. So hang in there. Things will get better eventually, but we just got to navigate this storm for the time being. Now, I came across an article from Yahoo Finance that said that Redfin found that 91.8% of US homeowners have mortgages at an interest rate at 6% or below. So that's crazy that you have that many people out there that have really low interest rates. The fact that some people are still at 6, I would have thought they would have refinanced in 2020 and 21, but I guess they didn't get the memo that rates were in the 2% range. But they go into more detail talking about that when you look at 82% of homeowners right now have a mortgage rate below 5% and 62% have a rate below 4%. 23.5% of homeowners have a mortgage rate below 3%. They say that's almost the highest proportion with a rate that low on record. And of course, because we've never seen rates that low in the last 50 plus years. The 2 and 3% interest rate that we saw during 2020 and 21 was probably the worst thing we could have had for the housing market. For all of us that was able to refinance and purchase and take advantage of it, it worked out great. But now in hindsight, you have a lot of folks that are on the sidelines because interest rates are 7. And I've even seen some days interest rates have touched 8% already. No one wants to leave a 3% interest rate for a 7 or 8%. And I think that's where we're starting to see this stalemate between buyers and sellers, because no one wants to give up the good rate to take on the higher rate unless they absolutely have to, whether you're relocating across the country or maybe you're moving into a different school district for your kids, or sometimes I've seen folks move closer for work purposes. Unless there's a have to behind it, it's really, really difficult right now for a lot of folks to consider leaving that interest rate. Now, I think as interest rates tend to come down, eventually we're all hoping, everyone in the real estate world right now is hoping that interest rates come down. Some folks are predicting towards the end of the year in 2023. Some folks are saying by the second quarter of next year, we should see interest rates come down. I'm of the camp that I think interest rates will come down towards maybe the second quarter of next year. I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon. However, if it happens, amazing. But I think the number that we need to see is going to be somewhere in the 5s to get a lot of people off the fence to sell their home in order to buy another property. And I think a lot of folks are going to hold out until they get that number. Maybe they will move for a 6%, but I think the number is going to be, there has to be a 5 in front of it, whether it's 5.5, 5.7, it's going to be something with the 5. What do you think? What would get you to sell your home if you have a 2 or 3% interest rate? Would you capitalize on the equity that you've been building over the last few years to sell and take a 5, or would it be a 6? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you guys and we can go from there. And because of where these interest rates are right now, so much inventory is being held on the sidelines that would have normally came through the market, whether it be cyclically or just as a normal kind of ebb and flow as the real estate industry goes every single year. We are in August as we're shooting this video, and we still have in many markets a very low supply of homes. I know in certain markets that I've looked into, I've seen about a 2-month supply in certain markets, and that's really, really low. So you're still going to get to see these multiple offer situations. You're starting to see prices continue to go back up and hitting record highs, even though interest rates are as high as we've seen seen in the last 20 plus years. Like I said, I've saw some interest rates in the 7s. I've even seen some days when the market got really bad. I've seen some lenders quoting 8%. That is really hurting a lot of the affordability in the marketplace. However, there are still people buying homes because they have to. And I think until we start to see some sort of reprieve, whether it be values coming down a little more, or you start to see a little more homeowners that are willing to sell their properties, we have to have a little more activity on both sides. If not, I think a lot of the homeowners are going to be really comfortable sitting on their equity, knowing that they have a really cheap payment and they don't have to give that up in order to take a 7 or 8%. And who knows, rates could even get worse and maybe get into the 9% range. One of my buddies who's a loan officer in San Diego thinks that we're going to see 9%. I still don't think that's going to be enough to push prices down because we don't have as many homes on the market. So those that are out there, they're still willing to make offers on those properties that are there. This isn't like the crash that we saw back in 2008 where we were just flooded with inventory. There were so many homes on the market. There's nothing there. And the banks that are looking at foreclosures or anything like that, there's not a lot of foreclosures as well. I've heard some folks talking about that the numbers are ticking up, but when I've looked at any sort of national report, it still shows that the number is extremely low. So a little conflicting there, but I think it's just something we have to pay attention to as we start to go into the winter months and to the fourth quarter. But typically, banks won't foreclose on people during the holiday season anyway. As you roll into November, December, January, any of the distressed properties, banks are not going to kick people out of their properties during that time. So that number is going to get skewed, and then we're going to be into 2024. It's an interesting time to be in the market, and I think there's a lot of wait and see to see what happens in the economy. I think there's a lot of wait and see with interest rates. And of course, we're going into an election year, which means everyone becomes sensitive to who my new president is and how that affects the real estate market, which is just another reason to not do anything. But I think even though that this has given us some uncertain times right now, I still think there's opportunity out there. It's all on mindset and what you're looking for. So if you're a seller wanting to sell your property, I think you can still get top dollar. Just got to hire a good real estate agent, have a good marketing plan. You could still capitalize on that. But I think if you're trying to buy, there are still great opportunities out there because a lot of buyers hear the interest rate argument and that immediately deters them from wanting to buy a house, which means potentially less competition. Could you still get as many credits that you could have gotten earlier in the year? Maybe, maybe not, but we tried telling you during the winter times, that's typically when you can get a lot of credits offered. So again, as we're rolling into the fourth quarter, this might be a great time now to start putting a game plan together if you're thinking of buying or selling a property. So that way you can maximize your transaction as best as you can. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.